If you're taking backups in your home lab, you're probably already using something like Duplicati or Restic to back up your container volumes. And on top of that, maybe you have Proxmox backup server or TrueNAS handling your snapshots. That covers most of what you need. But there is one thing in your stack that neither of those can reliably protect, and that is your database. A running database is constantly writing to disk. If tools like Duplicati or Restic tries to back up its volume while it is running, the data you get is inconsistent. And if your Proxmox backup server or TrueNAS snapshot captures it mid-write, that backup is already corrupted. You will not find out until the moment you actually need to restore it. So even with a proper backup strategy in place, your database is the one thing that can still let you down. The only way to get a reliable backup of a database is with a proper dump. It captures everything in a consistent state, even on a running database. But doing that manually is not practical. Scripting it yourself can get complicated and storage can add up faster if you are not careful. So in this video, we are deploying a tool that handles all of this for you. It is free, open source, and self-hosted. It automatically runs your database dumps on a schedule, and it comes with options to keep your storage usage under control. And if you watched my previous video on running a single Postgres instance for all your self-hosted services, this tool works perfectly with that setup as well. We will be focusing on deploying and configuring it in this video. In the next one, we will get into setting up the actual backup jobs in detail. So let's get into the deployment process. Here, I've already launched VS Code with a completely new workspace. Currently it's blank, so let me go ahead and create a new dockercompose.yml file. Inside this file, we will be defining our services. And right below that, we can define our database use service. Now let's provide the Docker image. For that, let's head over to Google and search for database use Docker image. From the search result, go ahead and open the link from Docker Hub. Now to get the most updated image tag with a fixed version, we can go to the tag summary section and open the recent tags dropdown. Here it looks like the most recent release is version 3.51.0 at the time of this recording. Let's go ahead and select that. Then let's copy the entire image tag from here and paste it into our Docker Compose file. With the image set, let's move on and give our container a name. Now let's define our ports, and we will expose port 4005 on the host side and also port 4005 on the container side. Next, let's move on to setting up the volumes. This service requires only one volume to store its data. For this demo, I will store it inside a subdirectory, right here in the same location. Then on the container side, we need to map it to /databaseusedata. This volume stores the configuration files and also stores the backup dumps if you are choosing local storage. Now, there are options to set up network storage directly to store the backups. But if you have a network share that is already mounted on your host machine, then you can also mount the directory to dump the backups directly inside that network share. If you want to do that, then we just need to add another volume and provide the path for that host directory. For this demo, I will use a separate backups directory right here in the same location. Just assume that this is separate network share which is mounted on this device. And on the container side, we need to map it to the same path we used above. Just at the end, map it to the backup subdirectory. Now, only the backup dumps will be stored inside that separate directory. With that, we are almost done with the Docker Compose configuration. But before we deploy this, I also like to set the restart policy to unless stopped, so the container comes back up automatically if it ever goes down. Now that our configuration file is ready, let's go ahead and deploy our database use container. So let me open up a new terminal. And here let's run docker compose up-d. This will start pulling the database use Docker image. And then deploy the container. Once it is up, you can see both of our volumes have been created, one for storing the configuration files and the other for dumping the database backups. But before we start backing up our databases, let's first configure database use through its web interface. For that, you will need the host IP address. For me, it's at the bottom left corner of VS Code. So now if we head over to a browser, and in a new tab, enter the host IP, followed by :4005, we should be able to access the Databasus sign-up page. Now, when you open this page for the first time, you will need to create an admin account. The email field is already set to admin by default, and this field is disabled, means we cannot modify it. We just need to provide a strong password, then confirm it, and then click on the Set Password button. This will create our admin account and log us into Databasus. Before we do anything else, let me walk you through the basic interface. On the left panel, there are a few tabs available. Right now, the Workspace tab is active, but let's first explore the others to see what options we have. Let's start with the Profile tab. Here, we can view details like our user ID and our profile name. If you want to change the profile name, you can just modify it here, and then click Save Changes. That will update the name for this profile. Then we have the email field. And for the admin account, this is always set to admin and cannot be changed. You can also view your user role here, and there is an option to change your password as well. Now let's move on to the Settings tab. At the top, we have a few options that are mainly useful if you are running this for a team, so let's see what is available here. The first one is Allow External Registrations. In my home lab, I am the only one using it, so I will not require this feature. Let me disable that. And disabling it shows up another option. That is to allow member invitations, which lets other users join through an email invite. I do not need that either, so let me disable this one as well. Then we have an option to allow members to create their own workspace. As I will not be having any other users, so this option is also not required for me. But if you are setting this up for a team, go ahead and configure these based on your needs. Let me save the changes. Below that, we have the Health Check endpoint option, in case you want to set that up. Then there is an option to create verification agents, which are used to verify our backups. We will get into the details of this feature later in the video. And at the bottom, you can also view the audit log from here for database use. Now the last tab is for managing users. If you are setting this up for multiple users, then you can manage them from here. We can search, modify roles, activate or deactivate accounts, and also view their individual audit logs. So these are the basic configurations that we can set up from here. Now, depending on your setup, you can configure other things. Like, if you want to access the web UI over a domain with a secure SSL connection, then you can integrate Traefik with database use. I already have Traefik deployed on this same host, so let me show you how easily we can integrate it. Let me head back to our Docker Compose file. If you do not want to use Traefik, you can skip this step entirely, and it will not affect any of the core functionality. So let me quickly define the Traefik network. Add the database use service to it, then paste the Docker labels that Traefik requires and update the values specific to database use. Now, we no longer need to directly expose the ports, so let me go ahead and comment that out. Let me also create a new .env file and paste the domain details in there. That is everything we need for integrating Traefik. If you have watched my previous videos on Traefik, then you will already know what exactly we just did right now. If you do not have Traefik set up yet, and you are planning to, then I do have a detailed 3-part video series on that. You will find the link in the I button and also in the description below. Now let's go ahead and redeploy our database use service. And now if we check, database use is no longer accessible over the IP address and port. But if we try to access it over our domain, then we should land on the sign up page. Now, before we try to log in, do you remember that we disabled external registration earlier? But still, we landed on this sign up page. And that does not mean anyone else can register a new account. If you try to register, then you will get an alert saying external registration is disabled, which means our configuration is working as expected. Now, to log in with our admin account, we can head over to the sign-in page and provide our admin email and password. Then click on Sign In, and that will log us into the application. Now let's see how we can connect database use to our database. For this video, we will be working specifically with Postgres. Now, depending on your setup, there are two ways to do this. If your Postgres instance is running on a different host, you can connect to it directly through its IP address and port. Just make sure the port is exposed on that machine. But if Postgres is deployed on the same host as database use, then we do not need to expose anything. We can simply add both containers to the same network, and they will be able to communicate with each other. In my case, my Postgres instance is also deployed on this same machine. So I will be able to show you how to do that. Also, do not get confused with my Postgres workspace and the Databasus workspace. Even though they are opened in two different VS Code windows, they are inside the same host. You can confirm that by checking the host IP address. Now, this is my Postgres setup. If you have not already watched my video on that, then you can definitely check that out. If you already have self-hosted Postgres instance, but your setup looks different than mine, and you are interested to know why I am using these options, then I would recommend you to watch that video out. You will definitely have something to learn. You will find the link in the description below and in the I button above. Now, to add both the Postgres and database use containers to the same network, let's define a Postgres network inside the Postgres Docker Compose file and add the Postgres service to it. For this demo, I will keep the ports open so I can show you both connection methods. For these changes to take effect, let's open up a terminal and redeploy the Postgres container. Now the Postgres container is connected to that network, but we still need to add database use to it as well. So let me switch over to the VS Code window where I have my database use workspace. Here, just like we did for Traefik, let's define the Postgres network and set external to true. Then let's add the database use service to that Postgres network as well. And since database use is now connected to multiple networks, we need to add one more label so that Traefik knows which network to use for routing. Once that is in place, let's redeploy database use to apply all of these changes. Now that database use and Postgres are on the same network and ready to connect, let's see from where we can actually set that up. And that starts with creating a workspace. If we switch over to the web UI, you will see database use is prompting us to create one. And we can do that using either of these buttons. So let's go ahead and create a workspace. We need to give it a name. And then click Create Workspace. And that should create a new workspace with a sidebar showing a few more options which are grouped together. Here you can find the workspace settings, from where you can update the workspace name, transfer ownership of this workspace to a different user, or add new members with their email and a predefined role. You can also view the details of existing users, delete the workspace if needed, and also view the audit logs for this specific workspace. Then, this one is the Databases tab for setting up databases. And here we have a Storage tab where we can configure where the backup files actually get saved. Next to that is a Notifiers tab for setting up alerts whenever a backup job succeeds or fails. Now, the idea behind a workspace is that you can group different databases, different storage options, and different notifiers all in one place. And if you ever want to separate things out, maybe you have different categories of databases, or you're sharing access with a team, you can always create additional workspaces right from here, just like we did before. Now, if we move on to the Databases tab, try to add a database. You can see there are options to connect different types of databases. Let's choose the type as Postgres and give it a name. You will find there are two completely different approaches to backing it up. One is logical and another is physical. These are not just different settings, they work in fundamentally different ways, and choosing the right one depends entirely on your setup and what you actually need to protect. That deserves its own video, and that is exactly what we are covering next. But before that, if you ran into any issues setting this up, feel free to drop a comment below. I love reading and replying to all of them. You can also join our Discord server if you need help more quickly. We have a great community there that is always happy to help. Now, if you have been following along and everything is working, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel because we are not done with this tool yet. The next step is configuring your actual backup jobs. And in the next video, we will go through the full setup for both logical and physical backups for Postgres, so you will know exactly which one fits your setup and how to get it running. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.